Why should Instagram have all the art fun?
Why not bring the art conversation to LinkedIn?
I'm Melissa, an artist and a culture sleuth.
I'm Nina. I'm a visual storyteller, a LinkedIn content creator, and a photographer.
Creativity is as vital to a successful business venture as it is to an artist.
So, why is the conversation about art and business segregated to different media platforms?
That's what led us to create a live show on LinkedIn.
We interview fascinating experts and explore art and how it relates to business, technology, and education.
Welcome to An Artful Life, curious conversations about the ways humans make and use art.
And here we are. Welcome everybody to An Artful Life. We are in season number 4 already. And we're very excited today to have Tammy Minty, fresh, that's how I'm going to remember it, Minty with us. And welcome to the show. Melissa, will you give us a quick introduction of our guest?
I would love to. I first became aware of Tammy maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I won an award for a painting from American Art Collector, I think it was, or American Artist. And one of the parts of the award was a feature article. So Ann Heavener, I think, assigned a writer to write about my work, and it was Tammy. And I just loved your prose. I loved so much that it was clear and accurate, and it would have made anyone who hadn't seen my work feel like they were familiar with it. And so you stuck in my mind. And then when we went to have books published about our work later on, we also asked Tammy to write for those books. And you did such a beautiful job. And it was later that I discovered your primary work is as a curator at the Taft Museum. So we wanted to talk to you about all of that, about your writing, about the Taft, and I'm so happy that you're here, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Of course, I really enjoyed writing about your work. And Nina, thank you. Thank you both for inviting me to be part of this today.
Of course, of course.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to curation? It's not a common career.
Yeah, it's my road to this point in life is probably a little bit unusual. Some people, maybe right after graduating from college, maybe majoring in art history, they go directly to graduate school and go straight through and get a PhD and, do a fellowship somewhere and travel all over looking for, a permanent position. I was an English major in Milwaukee at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and really wanted to be a writer. So I started then as a poet and took some art classes, really loved them, and realized I loved writing about art. So I started by writing poetry about art. And I was then working for the university in an office and enjoyed that as well. But that allowed me to take classes for free. So I was taking writing workshops. Then I sort of thought, maybe if I pursued an art history degree, art would give me something to write about, right? So I then started, moved a couple times with my husband. I was taking art history classes then to kind of fill out my portfolio, to learn more about art history. And then my husband, who's an artist as well, got accepted to graduate school. We moved to Cincinnati for a couple of years. At that time, I continued working I started working in higher education here in Cincinnati, then continuing taking art history classes at that university, which was Xavier University. And then we moved again for his position. And when he moved after graduate school, it was my turn to decide to go on to school. So I was accepted to the master's program at the University of Missouri in Kansas City, where I started my master's degree.
I've heard good things about that program.
This is a great school, very closely connected with the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. So we did a lot of work with the museum. I took a lot of courses with curators there too, so that was really great. And then we didn't love where we were. I mean, it was time. We needed to move again. So we then ended up back in Cincinnati. My husband got a permanent teaching job here, and I chose to try to transfer to the University of Cincinnati. So that's what I did. And I finished my master's there. And in the interim, I started working in public relations. So I did a little stint in public relations and marketing, again, using my writing degree.
Yeah.
Lots of writing. Writing is the connection through my whole career, I would say. And then doing that at the Taft Museum of Art, I did public relations for the Taft Museum of Art. And while doing that, I just decided, I'm trying to place stories. I'm trying to get reporters to write stories about this art. I really want to be the people doing the exhibitions. I want to be one of the people doing the work and writing the stories, So I finished my graduate degree. I started, after my graduate degree, a part-time position opened up at the Taft. This was 2006. I got hired, and it was perfect for me because I wanted to keep writing as well. So I started freelance writing and working as a part-time curatorial assistant in 2006. And I did that for, several years, and just then eventually, got brought on full-time at the Taft. I've advanced throughout my time at the Taft. So I went from curatorial assistant to assistant curator, associate. Now I'm a full curator there, and just have really kind of grown in my career. And I'm very fortunate to have a full-time position in this field in the same city that my husband has a full-time position in his field, which he's a university professor. They're both really hard fields to get into. You usually have to move around a lot. And we're lucky enough to both have really work for really great institutions in our fields in the same city. So, sorry, that's a long story, but
it was a good story. And I would say the institutions are also fortunate to have both of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Nina, I can't hear you.
I had to mute myself because Manhattan was happening in the background. So, what I did say when you didn't hear me was going to ask what skills make you good at your work, but I kind of feel like the writing, as you said, is sort of the red thread that lines through everything.
Definitely, yeah.
So is there? I mean, apart other than the writing, I mean, I'm sure there's other skill sets that are important for what you do.
Yeah, I think being an organizer is really important. So being able to organize information in a understandable way and creative ways to be able to tell a story. So, telling a story through art in an exhibition, it's sort of, you're organizing this group of works of art in a way that is exciting and will make sense to someone as they walk through the exhibition. So I think that's another thing. Research is another strength that you need to have, which is another form of organization, organizing information, gathering it and organizing it. I think those are also skill sets. And then being able to communicate it well. So just having a strong foundation in writing is super important.
I would imagine, yeah.
You two would make a formidable team because Nina's training is in documentary film. So she was organizing moving pictures into a way to make an exciting story and narrative. You do it in space, moving through space, but the two of you put together would, rock and roll.
Yeah, I love film as well. It's one of my interests too.
Yeah, cool. So what would you say is the most difficult aspect to curate? I mean, from maybe in general and from your personal perspective.
Well, I think for me, the most challenging thing as a museum curator is the ability to juggle multiple projects that are at all different stages. And staying on deadline. It's a very deadline driven job. So At any given time, I'm maybe negotiating a contract for a show that isn't going to happen for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. Then I'm maybe doing research for an exhibition that's going to happen in 2 years. And then maybe I'm writing the wall labels for a show that happens 6 months from now. And so all these things are at different stages and you're doing them all at once. And of course, you have to just have all these micro deadlines to keep yourself on track. So I think that's the most challenging part of the job is just, being able to balance all of that.
Yeah.
But you're always learning something new, it's
which is fascinating, right?
Yeah, that's like one of the best parts of the job is just being able to learn all the time.
And it sounds like the logical and the creative sides of your brain get equal workout.
Yes, I think so. I think that is it's definitely a balance between being creative and being logical.
I have heard of the Taft Museum, and because of my affection for you, I follow it in media, but I've never been. And for those of our guests who don't know anything about it, could you tell us about the Taft a bit? And I'm going to go through some of the pictures while you talk.
So, the Taft Museum of Art is it's a pretty unique place. It's located in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it was once the former home of Charles and Anna Taft. So Charles was the older brother of President William Howard Taft.
Wow.
So it is a combination of history. So it was built in 1820. So there's a succession of important families who lived in the building, the last being the Tafts. The Tafts put together a really incredible art collection with the intention to give their collection and their home to the people of Cincinnati for it to be turned into a museum. So it's a museum in this beautiful historic mansion. The collection is really world class. So what you're seeing here is the what would have been the entrance. So the front doors to the house, this is the entryway. Those are murals by Robert S. Duncanson, who was a Black American artist who painted these in 1850 to 1852, commissioned by one of the earlier, the second owner of the home, Nicholas Longworth. And they're considered dramatic. They're incredible. They're, about like 8 feet tall. They flank the wings of the house as well. So there's a total of 8 of them. And they're considered the most important pre-Civil War domestic mural suite in the country. Excuse me.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So these were covered with wallpaper by the time Charles and Anna Taft bought the house. And they were restored in 1931 when the house was being turned into a museum. So the museum opened in 1932. So
did the restorers know they were under there or discover them?
Well, the story goes that Anna Taft knew that there was something behind the wallpaper, but she had never seen them. Her and her father, when her father purchased the house after Nicholas Longworth died, they had never seen the murals. So when they started removing the wallpaper, they discovered that the wallpaper had actually helped to protect the walls because of bad air quality in Cincinnati when people were using coal to heat their homes and all of that. There was conservation done in 1931. And then again in the 1990s, there was a major conservation project. And we are actually working on a project that is leading to a major Robert Duncanson exhibition that will open in 2028. So it's exciting. but beyond that, so the Taft, you'll probably show the third photo too. So I'll talk more about our collection when you show that picture. But this is an exhibition that I organized in 2020. That was to celebrate the 100th anniversary of our building. So it was built in 1820, and it was an exhibition called A Splendid Century. And it was 100 years of Cincinnati art during the time when the building was a private residence. So, and this, that's a painting by Herman Wessel that was on loan from the University of Cincinnati's collection. So that was as you can tell, a COVID era exhibition that unfortunately far fewer people saw it than they would have if it hadn't opened in October of 2020. So it's just one of those things curators lived through, exhibitions canceled, exhibitions delayed. But luckily I wrote a catalog for the show, so that still lives in existence. And so the show lives on through that catalog.
Here's the other photo you spoke of.
Yeah, so the Taft's collection is it's really special. It's we have about 800 works of art, so it really is a small collection. We don't actively buy works of art. Our mission is to present the collection of Charles and Anna Taft. So our paintings range from 17th century Dutch, 18th century British, 19th century American art, 19th century French painting. This is a view of the largest gallery, which is called the Music Room. And so in this gallery, there are works by Rembrandt. We have a Rembrandt oil portrait, which is incredible. We have JMW Turner back in the far right corner that you're seeing. We have works by Franz Hals and John Singer Sargent and Ingres and just a gamut of old masters. I mean, it really is an incredible old masters painting collection. And then we have, great decorative arts. So the Tafts collected European, French Renaissance enamels. They collected Chinese porcelains. So we have like over 200 Chinese porcelains of the Qing dynasty. And they're all intermingled together. So it's not segregated by media. It's really, and as you can see, it doesn't look like when the Tafts lived there. It's really, it's a home, but it's designed to present the art. So while there is furniture and decorative arts, the Tafts really wanted this to be an art museum. They did not want it to be a museum to themselves. So it doesn't look like we don't have beds. We don't have a bathroom that you can see. It's really an art museum inside this incredible historic, house. So it's an intimate experience. It's sumptuous because you're surrounded with all these, beautiful fabrics and carpets and wall colors, chandeliers. So it's very different than visiting like an encyclopedic museum with white walls. It's a beautiful, wonderful experience.
It's nothing like the barns, but it reminds me sort of the intermingling of furniture with the china, with the art hanging on the walls. That there's sort of a not a segregation, as you said, of media. I like that.
Yeah, and of course, the Tafts were collecting the same time as these other kind of Gilded Age collectors, like Isabella Stewart Gardner in Boston, or Frick, Henry Clay Frick. They were all collecting at the same time and building the similar kinds of collections.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how do you get people to the museum? I would imagine nowadays it's probably pretty hard, especially with a younger crowd. Everybody's stuck with their noses in their phones. How do you get people, and how do you get a new audience to come to the Taft?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, we offer such a broad range of special exhibitions. So while we have this old master collection, we show a broad range of media. Every 3 months, we have a rotating large exhibition gallery, and we also have a smaller gallery that's in the historic house that is, more intimate, small exhibitions. But for example, we just today, or just the weekend, Sunday was the last day of a quilt exhibition called Indigo and the Art of Quilt Making. So that was all about the history of indigo dyes and how it related to quilt making. And that show included quilts from the 19th century all the way to contemporary quilts. And now we're getting ready to open a Rembrandt etching show from the Rembrandt House Museum in Amsterdam that opens in early February. So we do exhibitions of photography. We had an incredible mid-century modern furniture exhibition by an artist named Wharton Esherick this year. We I worked on a show called Posing Beauty, which was about the African American image in photography.
Wow.
So we have a lot of different exhibitions that I think sort of cater to a myriad of tastes and introduce people to new things. And our learning and outreach team does a great job with programs. So programs for all ages, hands-on workshops, family days, adult lectures, partnering with community organizations, just really, we try to provide a lot of different kinds of experiences.
Do you ever have musical events?
We actually do. We have great concert series. So we have in spring, we have a chamber music series that I think it's one of the longest chamber music series in the city. We have a jazz series in summer. So yeah, we do music. We also annually have a Duncanson Artist in Residence program. So that artist residency is named after Robert Duncanson, the painter of the murals that you all saw.
And is that one Ayana Ross did?
Yes. Well, she is the artist in residence this year. So her residency is in April.
Oh, wow. I thought it had already happened. And I don't know if you know, but she has been a guest on our show also.
I do know. I was excited to share with my colleagues that I was going to be in the same podcast as she was. So
and
yeah,
of course,
we're really
we have
excited
to celebrate her. She's also a Bennett Prize winner. So go Southern Ayana Ross. We love.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm not working on her show. My colleague Angela Fuller and is working with our learning and outreach team on that exhibition, but I'm really excited to see her paintings in person because I've only seen them in images and they just look amazing. So, and that residency is really an outreach residency. So she'll be out in the community doing all kinds of programs at schools and community centers. And I don't know exactly what they have planned, but it's really 2 weeks of programming, and it's not always a visual artist. Sometimes it's artists from the myriad of the arts. So performing arts, music, we've had fashion designers and opera singers and poets and really, so yeah, we offer for a small museum, we just have we do a lot of amazing things.
Wow. That's very cool. It's a sort of full circle moment. So what are you working on right now that you're super excited about?
Yeah, well, multiple projects, like I mentioned, but so I'm the installing curator for the Rembrandt Etchings exhibition that opens February 7th.
So amazing.
And so that's amazing. It's sort of the first 17th century Dutch show that the Taft has had since 1999. Which is amazing because those 17th century Dutch paintings are a really significant part of our collection. So it's nice to be able to highlight that, to highlight our Rembrandt oil portrait, which is considered one of the top 10 treasures in the Taft collection. So that show is curated by Epco Runia, who is at the Rembrandt House Museum in Amsterdam. So that's a traveling show. So we do get, a fair number of traveling shows, but then we are working on a self-organized exhibition that opens in October about an artist named Edie Harper, who is a Cincinnati artist. It will be the first museum show that focuses on her work with a catalog. I'm co-curating with two of my colleagues at the Taft, Angela Fuller and Ann Glasscock. And Edie was married to an artist named Charlie Harper, who is more well known. He was an illustrator, and you may not know him by name, but you may know his work by sight because it's on a lot of different products, and books have been produced, and they're often in museum gift shops, but kind of this mid-century minimal realism. And he's really known for birds. But Edie was this incredible artist that worked across media. She was a photographer. She made tapestries. She made enamels. She was a painter, a printmaker, and her work is wonderful and whimsical and colorful. The exhibition is called Edie McGee Harper, Modernist at Play. And we're really excited to really focus on her work, which is really, it's only been looked at mostly in relation to Charlie Harper's work. So we're excited to be able to give her time in the sun, so to speak. But she passed away in 2010.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry she won't be there to enjoy it.
I know. I wish she could see the show. Yeah.
When the Rembrandt show comes in from the Rembrandt house, does it come with restrictions, or do you have a free palette to arrange it and make associations that suit yourself, or does it come in? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And it's a great question. So when we do, present traveling exhibitions, they're all a little different. So some of them that I've worked on have come with maybe no text written.
Oh, wow.
And so I pretty much write everything for the exhibition and can, interpret things and present things with a lot of my own, research and perspective. Other shows come with really great written texts. The Rembrandt House exhibition came with really wonderfully written labels and kind of the concept, of 9 thematic sections. It really is a cross section of Rembrandt's entire etching career, from some of the first he made to some of the last he made, every subject, so aside from, we always do some editing because we have a certain style and our audience is used to labels being written a certain way. And always a little editing to do. I added a special series of labels that connect people to Dutch paintings in the Taft collection. So I've picked some
that's a nice touch.
Have interesting connections to works in our own collection. So that's a way also to get people excited about the works in the collection galleries and kind of move and go over there and take a look at some things and look at our Rembrandt painting if they aren't already familiar with it. So that's, something new that we added, but we always have kind of, you're given, every gallery is different, right? Shaped differently,
Right.
and different sizes. So you pretty much have free reign to design an exhibition the way that you want to do it. So our show will look different from how it's looked anywhere else. Our exhibition designer has come up with a central kind of hexagonal gallery that will focus on technique and how etchings are made. With the show comes with 2 rare copper etching plates that were used by Rembrandt, and they're paired with prints, so you can compare and see the plate next to the print and understand how the work's made. Give people an appreciation for how Rembrandt innovated that medium and all the artistry that goes into each work. Even though they're multiples, they're still, it's a very painstaking artistic process. So we're given a lot of leeway with the colors of the walls, even, and the fonts we use and all of that. So
Sweet.
That's neat.
We got a nice comment from LinkedIn from Shannon Villalba or Villaba, depending on if you're pronouncing it in Spanish or English, who said, "You have so many great programs at the Taft."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Um, we were going to ask you about what's next. Oh, we did ask you what's next at the museum. So
She's
we're
from
going to talk.
Cincinnati, that's why she said that, by the way. I just looked her up.
Oh, fun.
I mean, she's in our group, Melissa. I
Yes.
just didn't have it present where she lives. So yeah.
So she lives in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for visiting the Taft.
Yeah.
Sorry, Melissa, I was interrupting you.
That's quite all right. I wanted to talk, while we have time remaining, talk about your life as an art writer and
Mhm.
wondering, what do you think makes a good art writer? I mean, I said at the beginning why I love your art writing, but what do you like about art writing, both as the person doing it and as the person
Mhm.
reading it?
Yeah, well, I think what you said about being able to communicate to someone who maybe hasn't seen the work, sort of what the work might look like or what the experience might be looking at the work. I think that that's important, to be able to describe something visually in a way. I like to think that I try to do it in maybe a little bit of a poetic way to try to capture the essence of the person's art that I'm, writing about. So I think that that's important. I love writing and I love to write in a way that might also connect things maybe a little bit to art history when it's appropriate. Because I think that legacy is important. Understanding that. But I think very visual and direct writing is the best kind of art writing. So
Yeah.
when I can interview an artist, that's always nice too, to get their perspective on things. But yeah.
So we both read your book and totally love it. How much, I mean, now that I understand a little bit more about your background, how much, when did you write the book, first of all? Did it come during your tenure at the Taft?
It did. So yeah, so I'm an unusual curator because I've written a work of fiction as well.
Yeah.
There are some of us out there, and but it's historical fiction, and having been an English major, having written poems and tried fiction a little bit. I'd always, of course, like probably most people, wanted to write a book someday, and while I was working part-time at the Taft Museum of Art, so this was actually the book. The book came out in 2014, and the audiobook just came out this past fall. So we were working. I was assisting with research on an exhibition at the Taft about the sculpture of Hiram Powers, who was a 19th century marble sculptor. We have some of his works at the Taft. We were doing a big exhibition about him, and he had worked at a place in Cincinnati called the Western Museum, and I was doing research in 19th century newspapers, and not digital. This was back in maybe 2007. So this goes way back, and I was actually looking through bound volumes of 1830s newspapers looking for references to the Western Museum. And I came across an ad that was for a boy who was 8 years old. There was a lot of detail in the ad. An 8-year-old boy who was born without legs, named Enos Stutzman, who was on view at the Western Museum. Proceeds from his exhibition would benefit his education. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And I immediately thought, this would be an amazing story, right? I just immediately wanted to know more. And so that, sat in my mind for a while. I started doing some more research, and I just thought, I was working part-time at the museum at that time. And I thought, if I'm going to write a book, now is the time, because I can schedule myself at the museum, a few days a week. I can write consistently 2 days full-time at home, a week, and I could really do this. And so I just did a ton of research on the Western Museum, on other museums like it, on, the exhibition of living people, on Cincinnati in the 1830s, the whole gamut. And I constructed this story that revolved around the 2 weeks that the boy was on display at the museum, including real people, including Hiram Powers, the sculptor, including Nicholas Longworth, who was the second owner of the house that I now work in as a curator, and other real Cincinnatians of the past. And then the story being told from the perspective of two characters, a young man who's come to Cincinnati to sort of find his fortune, and then a young woman who is the mother of Enos Stutzman. And so that's where it came from. So it is really tied to the work I do at the museum.
Yeah. So when they go to visit that benefactory gentleman in the big house, that is the Taft Museum house then?
It is. Yeah.
So freaking cool. All right.
Yeah, that is the house. And that is, I'm describing some of the art that Nicholas Longworth owned and would have had on display at the house in that chapter. Yeah.
I feel like I want to reread it now.
Yes.
or maybe listen to it, right? Because now we have a audiobook. And sorry, Melissa, I'm just running with all the questions
Go
here.
for it. Go for it, Nina.
So how was it creating? I mean, you wrote the book in 17, you said, right? Or 14?
2014.
14. So it's now 11 years later.
I know.
And it's becoming an audiobook. How was that experience for you, both just from a technical aspect, but also as a writer? Was there like an inkling, like, oof, I need to rewrite this, or this is still perfect, I love it the way it is? I mean, how was that whole experience for you?
Well, I think it was an interesting experience. So I since the book had come out in 2014, there was one occurrence where I had reread the book, because there was a book club here locally that was reading the book, and they wanted me to come and speak. And I thought, well, I really should reread it. It's been a few years, I should reread it. And that was interesting, because sometimes, maybe, I don't know, as artists, if you see your work after you've been separated from it for a while, if you're surprised at like, wow, this is actually, I really like this. It's something I think I would enjoy even if I hadn't written it. I had that experience, it's like,
wonderful.
wow, this is the kind of thing that I would want to read. And then, so then fast forward to last summer when the audiobook was in production, which I have to give my husband some credit here. So he is an avid consumer of audiobooks. He's a painter. He teaches at Northern Kentucky University, but when he's in his studio, when he's painting, he is almost always listening to audiobooks. And so you do the same thing, Melissa? Yeah.
I do.
So he'd always thought like, oh, your book, you should try to get that produced. See if you get that produced as an audiobook. And I'm just so busy, but he had listened to a book that was read by Luke Welland, who and he really thought, wow, he really sounds like Arthur Watson, the young man who narrates part of the book. And so at the end of the audiobook he was listening to, Luke he told the story about how he got connected with that author. And so he left his website, he mentioned his website. So my husband, Kevin, went to his website and ended up hiring him as a surprise for me last summer.
Wow.
And so that kind of kicked off the process. And he was asking me all kinds of questions, which I didn't even think anything of, but then it turned out he realized that an author needs to be involved because names can be mispronounced and things like that. So he told me, and so I got brought in pretty early on, obviously, to produce the project. And but it was great working with Luke. I mean, he would.
I loved his voice.
I thought he was really good. Yeah, he's really great. And I felt like, you know what, I set out like, I'm not going to dictate to him what I think about, each character or whatever. And I'm just going to see how he interprets the voices. And it was really an incredible experience for me to hear these characters mostly sound similar to the way I would have thought they would sound, but in some cases, maybe a little bit different. But I thought that interpretation works really well. Like Mr. Dorfoy, I thought he interpreted his voice really well. And it wasn't how I heard Dorfoy in my head. But to me, every reader comes up with a different voice. So I was like, I'm going to let Luke as the actor kind of figure things out. And so it was a really cool experience. He would record a few chapters, then I would listen to them. I would send any corrections, which I honestly didn't have to give him that many. There were not many at all. And then, that's how it went. And he did such a great job. So it was a cool process.
That's a beautiful story.
I would love to know how you publish it and all that, but we unfortunately do not have time to go into all of that. And, but it's suffice to say, it is self-published, I imagine.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And then the audiobook, I just produced.
You find it on Audible,
and it's available on Audible, Apple Books, and Amazon as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to take a tiny swerve here.
Yeah.
If I may. Nina, you were asking Tammy when she went back and read her book what she thought of it. And recently I gave myself a gift on that topic where one of my other favorite authors is Ann Patchett, who Tammy and she worked on one of our books together. And my favorite of her books is called Bel Canto. It's about an opera singer that gets taken hostage with an entire embassy full of people. I love the book. I've read it 10 times at least.
It's an incredible book.
Anne says she never goes back and reads her books. By the time she's made them and edited them, she doesn't ever want to see them again. But she was somehow the idea came up for her to get a big copy of Bel Canto and write notes in the margins as she read it again 15 years later. And then they reproduced this book with her handwritten notes as an annotated version of Bel Canto. And I gave it to myself for Christmas. And it's a ball to read this book that I know as well as I know the back of my hand and then hear her thoughts about going back and reading it. It's really fun. That's the end of my story.
Yeah. How interesting. So I think I do the same thing that she mentioned. And first of all, when you invited me to write for your the catalog of your and Dowd and Tim's works, and I found out that Ann Patchett was also contributing an essay, I was just like flabbergasted to be in the same book as her because she's also one of my favorite authors. She's incredible. But so like her, there are certain things when they're published, I don't reread them. So I don't want to know if there's been an error made. At that point, when it cannot be changed, like I just don't want to know, so like if the editors made a typo or something crazy happened, I kind of don't want to know at that point. So I'm like, if I get a magazine article published or something of that nature, I look at it, I think, oh, it looks beautiful. I've edited the galleys already. It's fully out in print. Nothing can be done at that point. I kind of prefer not to reread it. So
yeah, I think Melissa has firsthand experience on typos in both. and because it's one of the first things when I met Melissa that happened to her. And I won't say anymore, but I also feel the same way about my documentary.
I was just going to ask you when you finally completed a documentary,
cannot watch it anymore because you just know what's going to come. And what's worse is I cannot control the speed. I mean, I can obviously control the speed in terms of, watching it at 1.25 speed. But, a book, and this is what I adore books, even as a filmmaker. And one day when I grow up, maybe I'll be a writer too. But I love books because the books still have my imagination involved, the way exactly how I want it, and no one's going to fuck with it. And I can also control the speed. And with a film, you cannot control the speed. And that is one of my big gripes about video, is that, that pacing, that yes, you have a pacing as a filmmaker as you create the film. And yet, if you're watching it for the 250,000th time, which you are by the time, you lock picture, it's just like, oh my God, I just can't take it anymore. Right. And then you just want to throw the whole thing out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different editing process. Any time-based media, you have to like even an audiobook, you've got to listen to it.
Yes, exactly.
Go back and maybe listen again. But a filmmaker, you're watching things over and over and over. That's different.
Yeah. So different process, I think. But yeah. The film I made, I don't think I'll ever watch it ever again.
I still am going to.
Okay. Well, thank you. whoever has, I have a client of mine, she just wrote a book, and I was talking to her, and she had like these stacks of cartons behind her. I'm like, let me guess, that's your book. She's like, yes. And I said, well, I remember when I ordered 500 DVDs of my film, and those cartons became the bane of my existence, because it was just as we were moving into digital world. So I printed these 500 copies that no one ever wanted. Everybody just wanted to stream it. And I was like, it's like, you don't want that physical stuff sitting around.
Yeah.
Dowd's first book, we printed 10,000 copies and had a distributor ship that we were about to sign a contract for. And as the shipment came in, the next day was 9/11. And the contracts fell through, and we had 10,000 copies of this book.
Whoa.
So, we've all.
Yeah. Were you ready to bank at least, so you had space to put it in?
No, we've moved with them 4 times.
I'm so sorry.
Well, now, small presses and independent authors can do print on demand publishing. So
that's so great.
You can order as many as you want. People can order them, but then also you can get it in Kindle, and you can get it in, for other e-readers and things. So it's it's pretty.
It's a little harder for art books though, when you want the plates to be beautiful. To print on demand.
Course. The art book is different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So unfortunately, it just brings us kind of to our last questions that we ask each of our guests. And I'm sorry, while New York's happening outside again, I don't know whether you can hear this.
That's okay.
I can barely can hear myself think. So Melissa, why don't you go for the first one of the penultimate question before we get to the last one?
Yes. If you were to meet or someone in the audience is beginning their career in art writing and curation, what advice would you have for them to make their journey easier?
Oh, wow. Well, I think, maybe I would go back to what we were saying at the beginning, just, hone your communication skills. Because so much of your career is going to be about communication. So also, if you're working with contemporary artists, you have to be able to communicate with an artist and sort of translate that into what will work for the public and negotiate that relationship so that the artist's vision is also presented in a way that makes the artist happy and meets their intentions. So I think communication, not even just writing, but just in general, hone that skill, because you're going to use it like your whole career. Even speaking, everything, public speaking skills.
We still can't get AI to do that for us.
Right. All of it. Communication is really important.
Yeah,
that's wise.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Which brings us to our last question, which is, the impossible question. What's your favorite piece of art in your home or your office? Or in other words, if your house was on fire, what would you grab? Other than your cat, your dog, and your husband.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so our home is filled. We have a lot of my husband's paintings on the walls, but also works by other artists as well. Behind me are two of his paintings, and actually one of them from this same series is currently in an exhibition, but that might be the one that I would grab. So, so these are paintings from the Southwest, and I love that landscape.
I do too.
And there's but I don't know. It's really hard. It's hard to pick. But there's also a really special family portrait. This might be the one. So it's a family portrait of my husband and I, and our dog that has since passed away, and our current cat as a kitten. And we're out in a field. Kevin is holding our dog. I'm holding the kitten who has the cone on her head because she's just been had her spay surgery. And we're in this beautiful field. The sun is kind of going down behind us. And I think that would be the painting that I would save because it's just really special. Not just because our dog has passed away, but it also just kind of marks a point in time in our lives, and it's really a beautiful, special painting. So that's probably the one.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a great choice, and I think I can picture it. Tammy, thank you so much for setting aside time to let us glimpse into your life and learn about the life of a curator, and how you build the atmosphere of a book that's historical in nature and about the Taft. I've learned so much, and I've really been looking forward to it. It was a joy for me.
Thank you. Yeah, this was really fun. Thank you both.
Absolutely. No, this was so much fun and so much to learn. Yes. So thank you. And to you, listener and watcher, thank you very much for joining us again for An Artful Life. And we will see you in a month again for our next edition. Be well, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.